disenfranchised. We have become increasingly of the feeling that we no longer control the passion. We no longer control learning. It's in the hands of a higher body, isn't it? Governments and people who work for governments who tell us how to do what we should do and the way we should do it, and then they tell us how it's going to be measured. And of course, what happens in this world of ours is that our children aren't stupid, are they? And they know when a teacher is stood in front of them without the passion. They know when a teacher is stood in front of them teaching them stuff that the teacher themselves doesn't truly believe in. Our children aren't foolish. And I think the greatest challenge we have in education for teachers, for school principals, and most importantly for children, is that we live in a world now where nobody feels they're in control. And as a great degree, our children leave education feeling they have no sense of empowerment, that they don't feel that the system is working for them, and that the magic and the passion somehow has gone. And certainly, this was the case that I found in my school. It wasn't that the children were bad. It wasn't that they were stupid. It wasn't that the teachers were bad. And it wasn't that the teachers were stupid. It was that the system wasn't working because nobody felt what they were doing enough in here. And so for me as a school principal, and in the time since I've been a school principal, that's been my passion. If I have one message for you this morning, it's that we have to have the courage as educators, as professional people, to say we must follow the passion, we must follow our instincts and do what's right for our children so that education becomes a vehicle of empowerment, not a vehicle of constriction. I'll give you my own personal example. Just after I started in my school, I did what all school principals do. I spent time wandering around my school, sitting in lessons, watching teachers, getting to know the children. And I spent most of that time sad because the teachers were like robots. They were delivering material, but there was none of that passion. And towards the end of my week of touring my school and trying to work out the capacity, I was sad. I was really sad and worried about the challenge of how we reignite the passion in this school. And on the Friday morning, I went into a class of 9-year-old children. And I was privileged enough to be in the company of a young teacher who was probably 2 years into her job as a teacher. You know how in our careers, we're fortunate enough to meet many, many teachers, many passionate people who are very, very good at their jobs. But every so often you meet a teacher who is truly special. You know? The sort of teacher who has an ability to work with children that you can't teach other teachers. It's unique, it's a talent, it's a gift. You walk into their classrooms and it's like there's gold dripping from the ceilings. There's a magic. Do you know the kind of teacher I'm talking about? Well, this was one of those teachers. And I was in her company, and on the Friday morning, she was explaining to me what she was going to do with the children. This group of 9-year-old children in this failed school. And she said, what I've done this week, Richard, is I haven't taught the curriculum. I haven't taught language. I haven't taught math. I haven't taught science. I haven't taught technology in subjects, she said. What I've done this week is I've asked them a question, one question on Monday morning. And she said, and what I've done is I've used that one question on Monday morning to design the learning for the whole week. I said, what was that then? She said, I decided that this week with my 9-year-old children, I was going to get them to explore the concept of empathy. Empathy with 9-year-old children. And I said, how did you go about doing this? And she said, well, I couldn't say to them, I'm going to teach you empathy, because none of them would have understood. They would have asked if empathy played for Brazil. So what she said was, on Monday morning, I asked them one question. And the question I asked them was, what do you think life must be like to live life as a turtle? What an amazing question, right? You could spend years exploring that question, couldn't you? And you could find ways of using all elements of the curriculum to respond to that philosophical question. And she said, so what I did all week was I worked on different areas of the curriculum, and it was all about responding to the question, what do you think life must be like to live life as a turtle? And she said, and today, at the end of the week's journey, today I'm going to get them to write a poem about what life's like to live life as a turtle. And she said, that way I'll understand if they get the concept of empathy. And I thought, amazing. What an amazing thing to do. And so the lesson began, and the children were they were so excited. Every child. You know, you couldn't tell in that class which children were behavior problems, you know, because every child wanted to partake in this poetry writing. And they went off and they started writing. And you know how kids do when they're enjoying something. They were, and like this. It's true, isn't it? And I'm walking around looking at the poems, and I'm amazed. The quality of the poetry was extraordinary. And 20 minutes into the lesson, this young teacher did something that you'll see in your colleagues. There will be people in this room like this. It strikes me that the best teachers in the world are always the ones who never think they do a good enough job. You're the ones who've given up your Saturday, yet you're the ones at the end of the day who go home thinking, I could have done that better. I could have done that. I could have talked to that child differently. And she was one of those teachers. And 20 minutes into the lesson, she said to me, Richard, how do you think it's going? And I said, it's amazing. I said, you're amazing. I said, what you're teaching these children is extraordinary. All the things I've told you. And then I said to her, how do you think it's going? And you know what teachers are like. They're never happy. So she said, well, I said, what?